One of the most valuable tools that project management has to offer is the work breakdown structure. This is a tool for defining everything you're going to do or buy to achieve your project objective. It takes your project and breaks it down into increasingly more detailed definitions of work. I'm going to show you how to use SmartArt to create a work breakdown structure. SmartArt comes native in all Microsoft Office applications, including Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. It's really simple to use, and you can really quickly capture what you're going to do as part of your project. So when you open our template, all you need to do is jump in by clicking anywhere in this graphic. This little box over here with the arrow on it will open your input panel, which you can move around and resize to suit yourself. And it's these blank bullet points here that are the things we need to fill out. Assuming that all of this standard project management stuff is right, you don't have to add any additional things to it. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate how to use this tool, SmartArt. It's a very simple tool. It uses Tab to indent an item or make it subordinate, and Shift Tab to outdent an item or promote it through this hierarchy chart. So whatever is going on over here in this indented list is being mirrored over here in the hierarchy chart, the tree structure. And you need to let the tool do that for you. So don't try to move boxes around like you would in, say, Visio. Try not to type into this section over here. Keep all your typing to this input panel over here, and let SmartArt organize the boxes for you. So I'm just going to delete these ones. And one of your tips here is when you're using SmartArt, and this applies to PC rather than Macs, but in PCs you have a choice to backspace to delete something or delete. The delete button kind of sucks up the one in front of it. So we want to use delete rather than backspace, because backspace will chop your WBS in half. So I'll just show you what happens if I was to backspace to remove that bullet point there. Okay, so I've brought closure up to the same level as project, which is not what I want. You would have to, every single time you backspaced, then reset the hierarchy. Which can get a little bit complicated. So forget about backspace. We're going to go to the item before it and delete to suck up a bullet point. Okay, so back to my work breakdown structure. I'm going to demonstrate now how to develop a simple work breakdown structure, but for a real project that Elemental Projects runs. This project's called the POP program. We've been running it for 3 years now. It involves some of our trainers travelling around the state doing capacity building workshops with Aboriginal organisations who've been given a grant for an environmental and community-based project by the New South Wales Environmental Trust. So this is a consulting gig that we have delivered for a few years, so I'm pretty comfortable with sharing what we're doing there. It's a great program with some great outcomes attached to it. So I'll just model for you now how we go about planning a project like that. Okay, so assuming that all of our project management bits in there are correct, to create a new box under deliverables, you press enter. Enter creates a box, and then Tab or Shift Tab moves that box around depending on where you want it in the hierarchy. So in this case, I want it to sit under project deliverables as a subordinate task. In other words, it's part of the project deliverable item. So Tab will push it down in the hierarchy or make it subordinate to project deliverables. You can see it there sitting at the same level as whole team meetings and coloured the same colour usefully. Okay, so under deliverables, we've got a package of work around prep. So we prepare for the delivery of the program. We then deliver the training in what we call orbits. So an orbit is where our trainers travel around the state, typically 5 locations, right into regional New South Wales to run planning workshops with these organisations around the grant project that they are doing. So I'm going to call that orbit 1, orbit 2. You can use your arrow keys to move around, you can use your mouse. So to clarify, this is the planning workshop. And this is workshops to do with implementation and closure. So explaining how to do status reporting, maintain your plan, keep your team engaged, those sorts of things. So implementation, closure, workshops. Okay. We also have a bit of support that we provide to the grantees outside the orbits. So I'm going to say support outside orbits. So under prep, we have the resources that need to be developed, like the PowerPoint slides and the activities and the templates. So we're going to have develop resources or refresh. We then do a trainer briefing session. So we let our trainers know what the latest resources are that they're going to be teaching to. So I'll call it a train the trainer workshop. And finally, there's all the logistics, you know, accommodation and travel and that sort of thing. So let's just call that logistics. Okay, all but one involves going to 5 locations. So what I did then, let me go to the end and delete that bullet point up. To create new boxes, I'm simply pressing enter and then tab. Now, if I wanted to outdent that, and if I wanted to, in other words, I wanted to create a new item at the same level as orbit 1 and orbit 2, for example, between orbits. So you can see that sitting at the same level there, prep, orbit 1, between the orbits, orbit 2, support outside orbits. If I wanted that to be at the same level, I pressed Shift Tab to outdent it. To indent, you tab. To outdent, you Shift Tab. So just let the tool organize the placement of those boxes. Okay, so orbit 1, we have location 1. That might be Grafton, for example. Location 2, just going to copy that. 5, 4, 3. So we'll just call them those for now. Copy that. You can see you can use copy paste just as you would normally in a Microsoft application. Under orbit 2, I'm going to paste. So enter, Control V, and I'm going to grab all of these and tab them all in as a chunk. So tab those guys in. So you can cut and paste and move things around. If I didn't like those there, I could cut and paste them up there. You can really treat this as you would a Word or Excel document. You can undo. Okay, now by cutting and pasting though, one of the little quirks of SmartArt is it tends to mess around with the font size. So you can see locations 2 to 5 over here are suddenly really large. So I can control that, so we can highlight the boxes, or like that's sitting at font 9 at the moment. I'm just going to grab the entire SmartArt graphic by grabbing the edge of it. Click on the edge, go to home, change the font, and that will make it standard. Okay, to reopen my input panel then, just that same little box at the side with the arrow. Okay, so here's my scope of work so far. I've got some prep activities, orbit 1, orbit 2 delivery, and some support. So I haven't explained what support involves. So let's have phone calls and ad hoc emails. We also have client reviews and participant feedback. Okay, so in a nutshell, this is what work is involved with our beautiful POP program, Protecting Our Places, where we go around the state working with local Aboriginal land councils and other Aboriginal organisations.